G'day everyone! It has been a long time between drinks, but the time has come once again for another episode of That Other Show. And for the uninitiated, this is your time to put your feet up, get your poison of choice, and chill out to the sounds of me talking to myself, all about video games. But before we start that though, we must cue the music. This is episode 15 of That Other Show. Today is Sunday the 18th of August 2019. I am your host Lucas, and here with me is a Twitter feed full of Follow Friday notifications from amazing people from around the world. During this show I'll be talking about the following. First of all, Raspberry Pi 4. Then 3D printers, and then some podcasts, and of course, we're doing a That Other description. Okay, so this is the first part of the show where my voice starts to get a little bit more casual because I'm not reading anything now. I have in my hands a Raspberry Pi 4 computer. It's the Model B, 2 gigabytes of RAM. I was probably a little bit hasty when I was making the order for this thing. I didn't actually realize there was a 4 gigabyte model, which was probably about $30 Australian more than the 2 gigabyte version, so I probably would have preferred to buy that one. I don't know if it'll make a massive difference for what I want to use it for, but I probably would have went that way anyway, but I didn't know it existed. I thought this was the only one. But anyway, so I've got this one in my lovely little hands right now. Not that my hands are particularly lovely, but I don't have a case for it just yet. It's just I've literally have the motherboard in my hands, and it's a neat little thing. I'm going to make a video of this once I do get the case arrive in the mail. It's just like a clear plastic Perspex looking thing, just something simple to get started. And I will make a video of me putting it together and share that up on YouTube. But yeah, at the moment, I've just got the motherboard here. It's a Raspberry Pi Model B Raspberry Pi with the 2 gigabytes. And I have set it up. So I've put in a 32 gigabyte micro SD card, and I put the Raspbian, I believe it's called, the Raspbian operating system on it, and I also installed RetroPie, which is the emulator to play retro games, which is essentially the reason why I bought the Raspberry Pi. Because these things aren't just for one use. They're not just for retro games. These things are very open source. You can pretty much do whatever you want with them. I've seen people use them for CCTV camera setups. I've seen people use them for retro gaming, which is what I've got it for. They've even been used for handheld gaming, making your own handheld game system. There's a whole heap of different things you can do. Oh, they use these for drones, for creating, a DIY quadcopter or something like that. But yeah, I'm using it for retro gaming, but I haven't been able to really properly use it yet because I want to set it up properly in a case, and I haven't got one. But I have managed to connect up my DualShock 4 controller to it and get the operating system going and get a couple of games running as well. And it runs fine. It's good. Even though I must give a bit of a warning out for those that are thinking about getting Raspberry Pi 4. The software isn't quite there just yet. There needs to be some updates to properly support Raspberry Pi 4. I've got Raspberry Pi 3 stuff running on this one, just with a workaround so it's compatible. So probably not the best, but I sort of jumped the gun there. I just wanted something to tinker with, which is essentially what Raspberry Pi is amazing at. If you like to tinker with computer stuff, there's probably a lot of fun there for you. And it's only about $100 Australian too, depending on which particular model you go for. All right, well, that's it on the Raspberry Pi 4. Let's move on to the next part, which is 3D printers. Okay, now after I picked up that Raspberry Pi 4, I got to thinking, all right, so there weren't too many options for cases for the Raspberry Pi 4. And I attribute that to it being fairly new, because if you look at the Raspberry Pi 3, there's quite a few different cases you can get for them. Some of them look like a Mega Drive, you can get a NES, you can get fancy, all different kinds of cases for Raspberry Pi. And I was talking with Snoogs, the host of the Aussie Gamers Experience podcast, and we brought up the topic of 3D printers. And you can 3D print all different kinds of cases for Raspberry Pi. And that further got me thinking about how cool it would be to have a 3D printer. Now, I don't have a 3D printer. However, I do have a story about one. I made a suggestion to my wife. I said, you know what? It's coming up to my birthday soon. I always save up for the 12 months prior. And then when my birthday comes up, I've got some money that I've saved up, and I usually splurge and buy something. And I made a suggestion that I would like to get myself a 3D printer. I've wanted one of these for a while. My daughter went absolutely crazy at the idea. She thought it was fantastic. She was getting all excited. She jumped on me and said, yes, Daddy, please, 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 yes, yes. And I said, you know what? If we get one of these, it's not yours. You're not going to be playing with it. But obviously she will reap the benefits. So my wife made a suggestion as well, which pretty much sealed the deal for me. It'd be pretty cool for school projects if she ever needs to do stuff like that. My daughter's 11 and, she may get some use out of it for school. So if it's got some sort of positive use for that, other than sort of me just making figurines made from video games and cartoons and TV shows, then I guess it's worth it. But anyway, the story of the 3D printer goes like this, and it's a story of why retailers are going out of business. So I made some inquiries on 3D printers, and pretty much there's one store with reasonable 3D printers in the area in which I live. And there's a couple of others, like Harvey Norman and Officeworks. They both have 3D printers, but the options, the range they have is pretty poor. They have either really, really cheap startup ones that I'm not interested in. I don't want a cheap, bodgy little thing that's going to look terrible. But then they have, at the other end of the spectrum, they've got 3D printers that are thousands of dollars. Now, I don't want to go that far either. It's my first one. I don't want to get a crappy one, but I don't need $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 3D printer, especially for the first one that I ever get when I don't even know what I'm doing, don't know what they're capable of. So anyway, I found at the local JCar that they had a model there that I was quite interested in. And on their website, it was advertised for $899. This is Australian dollars. Keep that in mind if you're from overseas. You have to do your own little conversions there. But yeah, $890. Let's call it $900 Australian. And I then also did a bit of a search and saw on Amazon Australia, because that's a thing now, that they were selling the exact same 3D printer for $669. Now, for $240, I'll buy it online. I like to support the local shop, and this is what JCar is. They're not a massive franchise, but they are a franchise. But they're not huge. And this is my local store. And whenever I can, I would like to go and purchase things from my local store to keep them in business so they're there next time I need something. But the problem is, for $240, I'm not going to donate that to my local shop. I'm not that generous, to put it that way. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give them the benefit here. I'm going to go into the store and have a chat with them and see what we can do. Now, I went in there. I was a little bit annoyed at the interaction that I have, because I felt like the guy wasn't listening to me, and he thought that I was an idiot. But anyway, I went into the store and I saw the one that I was after on the shelf, $899. And the guy comes up to me and says, "How can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just I'm looking at getting one of these 3D printers. This is the one I'm after." He then proceeded to tell me about the features and benefits, and I politely just said to him, "No, this is the one I want." Like, I've pretty much indicated to you I want to buy that. You don't need to sell it to me. So anyway, he says to me, yeah, that's that. And I said, well, look, I got a problem though. It's $669 on Amazon Australia with 2 days delivery and free shipping as well. So I said, look, I know most places don't have a policy that they won't price match an online price, which look, I totally understand. I don't think it's unfair because they're still in Australia. It's still an Australian thing. It's not a different currency. I think shops should. I think they should be competitive with online prices. And they would also, if they sold it for the same price or slightly more expensive, they've always got that benefit of, well, you get it right now. Yeah, you're getting free postage, but you still need to wait, whether it be 2 days, whether it be 5 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is. You take this now. You pay for it now and you take it now. That's a benefit over buying it online. And you can also sell it by saying that if there's an issue with it when you get it out of the box, you can bring it back here and we'll fix you up. Whereas if you get it online and it's an issue out of the box, it's a little bit more of a problem. You got to send things back because there's no physical store. But anyway, I said that to him. I said, look, I don't expect you to match the price, but can you do a little bit better than $900? And he goes, oh, look, I'll go and see what I can do. And he comes back to me and says, sorry, I can't price match that price for you. Okay. No, I didn't want you to price match. As I said to you, I understand that before you went away, I understand you can't price match an online price because he went through the policy and told me about price matching online things. We already had this conversation. I know that you're not going to price match an online price. What I'm asking for, ignore the $669 price point on Amazon. Can you do it cheaper than $900? Because if I can close that gap a little bit, I'll pay a little bit more because that means I get it today and I support my local. So anyway, he goes away again and not for 2 minutes. He's gone for a while, what seemed like an eternity, and to the point where I was thinking I might just go. But anyway, I stuck around. I waited. I was a little bit more patient just in case the answer came back was decent. So anyway, he comes back and he goes, so we can price match another place that's in Sydney. Still on with this whole price matching thing. And he goes, so the best we can do is $850. Oh, all right, fair enough. You've come down a little bit on price. Not exactly. I wasn't asking a price match. I wanted to see what price you would be willing to do, and it's only $50 off. So we're still $200 more expensive than Amazon Australia. I just politely said to him, look, I appreciate your time and efforts, but yeah, for $200, I'll wait the 2 days and pick it up with Amazon Australia. So I left. I went home and I jumped onto the website. I logged into Amazon and it was actually free expedited delivery because I'm a Twitch Prime subscriber, which is an Amazon Prime membership as well. So yeah, I got free expedited delivery for $669. I've got a 3D printer on its way and it's supposedly going to be here in 2 days. So Tuesday is when it will arrive. I've spent a long time researching this printer, but for the life of me, I can't remember. It's like Flash something, the name of the 3D printer. Look, hang on. I'll find out what it is. Okay, so I've got the name of the printer now, the 3D printer. I've got to try and commit this to memory, but I don't know. I don't find it very memorable. It's the FlashForge Adventurer 3 3D printer with cloud print management. So there you go. If you're interested in looking at 3D printers, I'll tell you what it's like after I get it. Might be on Twitter, might be on one of my daily g'days, or possibly a YouTube video. But yeah, so that was my experience with 3D printers and the imminent death of local retailers. But anyway, let's move on to the next part, which is all about podcasts. Okay, so this segment here is going to be quite short. I'm just going to mention some podcasts that these are the ones that I actually listen to. So not just me saying, oh, these blokes are great, have a listen. These are actually on my phone on podcasts, okay? So this is no particular order. The Bit War Veterans. I listened to the Bit War Veterans with Meow Tai Ching and Max Inventory. Now, I've got a sneaking suspicion that that's not their real names. I'm pretty confident on Meow Tai Ching. Pretty sure her mum and dad did not go for the sound with which a feline creature would make, followed by whatever Tai Ching means. It may mean something. And Max Inventory, if that is your name, your parents are awesome. Got to tell you that. Right, well, the Bit War Veterans do a podcast, and it's available on iTunes. It's probably available in a few other places. It's definitely on their YouTube channel. So go and follow them or subscribe to them on YouTube. Give them a sub on iTunes and search it up on other platforms to see if you can get it there. But that's a good podcast. It's kind of a variety, but it also, it does mainly revolve around video games, retro styles, and technology, and just all things cool. I do believe they cover off on some topics of animes and Japan. They do. Well, I was going to say something in Korea, but I think that's just where they live. So, yeah, look, anyway, it is a fantastic podcast, definitely worth listening to. One of their best latest episodes, all about chatting with Tim Gadler and Brian from Synth Spaces. Those guys, if you're not aware, are ex-Sega Hotline employees, and they interviewed them on the Bit War Veterans. So that's a cool episode to go and hunt out and listen to. All right, moving on to the next podcast that I listen to, once again in no particular order, and this is absolutely a podcast that I listen to weekly, is Playing Favorites with Paul and Justin. Now, this is a podcast that is it is another variety show. It's not particularly on one topic, like video games, like the Aussie Games Experience. However, it is on their particular favourite things. So I'll give you some examples. There will be favourite retro game, favourite TV show, favourite movie, favourite sequel, and that will be the topic of a show. So one of those topics will be what they talk about for the show, and they put together a great structure where they will give honourable mentions, they will discuss their reasons for choosing, and then they will basically give you their number one favourite towards the end of the show. Fantastic show. It's also available on iTunes. That one is available on Anchor and possibly a few other locations if you just go and search for it. But that one there is a great show, and it's one of those shows that you'll listen to and you'll just be like, oh, I need to respond to this, but I know that they can't hear me, so it's kind of pointless. But that's a bit of a killer of a show, that one. So I recommend Playing Favorites with Paul and Justin. But yeah, so that's the two that I'm currently listening to every week and when they're available. So check those out. All right, well, let's move on to the last part of the show, which is that other description. All right, once again, for the uninitiated, here is a game where I'm going to read out a description of a game, and I'm going to omit crucial details, and you, the listener, have to work out what that game is. And if you know it, go onto our Discord, there's links in the show notes, and post it in there saying, hey, just listen to this episode of the show, this is what the game is. And if you're correct, I'll let you know. All right, let's go. This is a 1992 platform game published and developed by Virgin Games, originally programmed by David Perry for the Mega Drive/Genesis, and eventually ported by other Virgin Games teams in Europe to the Master System, Game Gear, and the Amiga. A Super NES and a NES port were also in development, but were never completed for undisclosed reasons, although a ROM image has since surfaced. The game is based on a fast food chain and has a strong environmentalist message. That other description. If you think you know what it is, make sure you head into our Discord. Well, that is it for this episode of That Other Show, and if there isn't enough content here, then you absolutely need to go and check out the Aussie Gamers Experience video game podcast. Check out the links in the description. Mind you can also go and check out Bit War Veterans and Playing Favourites. You can also search Aussie Gamers Experience on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and a ton more. Well, that's it. Catch you all next time, whenever the hell that is. Goodbye.